are now entering Armbar Audio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Armbar Audio. I'm your host, John Kearns. Next to me is not normally who is here, my trusted companion, Tim Farley. Next to me is a very special guest. We have the one and only Space Jesus, Billie Starkz, on the show today.
Hi, guys.
So, Billie, how are things going?
Pretty good. I've had a very chill day. I am actually off this weekend other than Sunday. And it's nice to have like a break on the weekends.
Yeah, it is. It's always nice to have a break on the weekends. I work a retail job, so having weekends off myself is very rare. But yeah, Saturday got the Royal Rumble on tonight. You gonna be watching that?
I will. My dad and a few of my other friends actually went to it and I planned on going, and then last minute I was like, you know what? I want to stay home.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally get that. As an introvert myself, I'm like, it's always making plans is fun, but then actually doing it is like, oh gosh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Uh,
have to go out of the house and actually look presentable.
right. But yeah. So start with the basics here. You are a very young wrestler. I believe you are still in high school, yes?
Yes, I'm
Still in high
still in
school?
high school.
Are you, I think at this point, you're probably a senior by now, right?
I'm actually a junior still.
Junior. Okay, okay. So I've watched a few interviews where you talk a little bit about balancing school and wrestling and how your teachers are always really cool about letting you get the time off that you need, which I think is awesome. It's something that I think it's really cool to see them be flexible with that because a lot of teachers I feel wouldn't be. So like what was like the first time what was the first time you had to tell a teacher that you needed time off to go uh kick somebody's ass?
Um, I think like the first time that I had to like communicate that truly was like my freshman year
Okay.
of high school. I had to like be very open and honest because I would miss Fridays all the time because I'd be like, oh, I have to go wrestle. And then I would have my gym class on Fridays and I was like, she usually like wants this credit and this. And I'm like, okay, how do I make this up for your class? And she was like, I just need a video of you like working out. And then I was like, okay, can I send wrestling videos? And she was like, sure.
So you made a new fan there, I'm sure. Has she kept up with your career at all?
They always ask me how it's going at school. And like a few of my teachers have like wanted to come to shows. I just haven't been able to like wrestle in the area and like make
Right.
schedules line up because like my theater teacher was gonna come to a show, but then we had uh uh what's it called? A play. A play that happened. So she was like, oh, I have to run the play. I'm sorry I can't come. And I was like, oh, it's fine. And the same thing with my Japanese teacher. He actually like travels everywhere all the time.
Right, right.
And when GCW is in New York, I wasn't wrestling, but I was like, oh, there's a wrestling show, by the way. And he was like, oh, I have a conference, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so GCW is where I feel a lot of people that watch us would have seen you so far. Um, Place like that. I know you've been. I, if I'm not mistaken, you've been at Beyond, right?
I actually have not
You
been
haven't been
to
at Beyond.
Beyond yet.
Where are other places other than GCW that you've been? Because I'm drawing a blank.
You're good. I've been to Black Label. I've been at Girl
Black
Fight,
Label. Okay.
Paradigm Pro Wrestling, GCW, of course, and many more. Freaking, I like can't keep up with it. I check Cage Match all the time, and I'm like, where have I been?
Right. No, I'm sure because um, just being in the game for 3 years so far, you debuted in 2018, is what I saw. The list of matches you've had is already crazy long. Um, like I'm sure it's easy to lose track of where you've been, like what cities you've been in and stuff like that. But you mentioned GCW New York. They just ran the Hammerstein Ballroom. It was a big show. World on GCW. But you were there, but not on the card. What happened there?
It's just because of the commission, like it is what it is. And that's usually like a lot of problems that I run into with my age
Yeah,
is like the commission based. It's like you have to have a license, you have to be 18 to wrestle here. And I understand it's the law, so
yeah,
I'll abide.
yeah. That's actually exactly what I thought had happened when I saw that you were at the venue, and on Twitter you were like talking about not being able to be on the show, and present by your absence were you, Nick Wayne, like the younger people, and it's like,
Mhm.
I bet I know why they're not there. It's the same reason they weren't able to do a lot of stuff that they're really known for. Um, it kind of left a sour taste in people that haven't seen them before's mouths, but people that do follow them were like, "Well, no, you don't understand. It wasn't them. It was the city, you
Mhm.
know." But yeah, so moving on from that, uh, wrestling as a young person in general, what have you run into any complications with that other than just commissions?
Honestly not. Like there has been like a few situations where people are like skeptical about putting like kids in the ring. And
Yeah.
like I can completely understand that, but I always relate it back to I was able to do cheerleading and I was getting kicked and this and that. And when I would try to flip, I would accidentally land on my head and this and that. And my little brother was doing football. And I was like, I feel like wrestling is no different than any of these. And
Right.
I was trained for it. I know how to protect myself. And it just takes time for people to adjust to that because it's a different idea.
Okay. Nice. Well, that's cool. It's really cool that your peers have been so open about like working with you, having you in the ring. So, uh, I watched one interview where you talked about like dream opponents, and you mentioned Millie McKenzie. Now, I'm not that familiar with Millie McKenzie, so could you give me and the people a rundown? Like, what is it about Millie McKenzie that makes her your number one dream opponent?
One, she just has a great style of wrestling, and everything she does is like very clean and precise. And I actually first got introduced to her by my stepfather. He was like, "Oh, I need you to watch this match," and I was like, "Okay, sure." And I watched her versus Ricky Shane Page, and I was like, "Who is this girl?" Because she's like phenomenal, and I just fell in love with her wrestling. She's based out of the UK, and she is currently signed to NXT UK.
Okay, that's
And
awesome.
I think she's phenomenal, and she's also very young in wrestling.
That's great. That's great. And I know that you also mentioned wanting to mix it up with Nick Gage, and you talked about your parents not, or you thought that your parents may not approve of that, but it's something I'd love to see. I mean, and if you're willing to do the style, like you said, you want to go hard. You want to do it right if you're going to do it at all. So yeah, um, I think Deathmatch Billy would be a cool thing. Like maybe, you know,
It would
future
have to be a
GCW.
couple years from now, but it would
Yeah,
definitely, I feel like it's definitely a possibility. We'll see where the world takes us.
yeah, right. So I did want to talk a little bit about where the Space Jesus persona came from. I know a few nicknames you've gone by. You've had Baby Draw, hashtag Baby Draw, Biting Billy, and the one that you're most known for now is Space Jesus. So where did this come from? Where did that start? And what does it really mean?
So honestly, all of my like nicknames have all been like just jokes or something that I found funny. And I think Space Jesus honestly has the best backstory, even though it's very stupid, if I'm being blunt. But it all came out of this guy. There was a seminar. I wasn't at the seminar, just a few of my friends were. And I was going to the show where the seminar was at later on. I had another show before. So I get there, and my friends were like, "You got to hear about this." I was like, "Oh, what happened?" And it was a Jimmy Jacobs seminar. He's going down and like asking people what their gimmicks are, like who are they? And he gets to this guy, and this guy's wearing like a leather vest and has wrist tape on and the biker gloves. And they're like, "Oh, who's this dude?" And this guy goes, "Oh, I'm a street fighter." And Jimmy's like, okay, that's cool. Is there anything that makes you special though?" And he goes, "No, but I'm a street fighter." And he was like, "That's just not enough." And the guy goes, "Wait, this will explain it all." And he proceeds to take off the vest, take off his shirt, and what is revealed is alien Jesus walking across water, tattooed on this man's chest.
Wow. And that explains
And Jimmy
everything.
just nods his head and just keeps walking,
Yeah.
and like pretended like this man did not just strip down in front of him and said, "Yeah, this tattoo explains my whole gimmick
Right.
of being a street fighter."
Right.
But at the end of the seminar, it gets better. At the end of the seminar, the promoter's like going to like collect everybody's pay for the seminar, and he gets to that guy, and the guy goes, "You have to pay for this?" And he was like, "Yeah." And the guy goes, "I'm not paying for this. I'm on the show." Take in mind, he was not on the show. He proceeds to get kicked out. So we've nicknamed him Space Jesus. And I was like, "I don't believe you guys. This person doesn't exist. This is some elaborate story." And then I finally got sent a match of him, and I was like, "This guy is real." And I saw the tattoo, and I was like, "Wow, this is people." So I stole the name Space Jesus basically from this dude.
Right.
And so that show was on a Sunday, and that Friday, a guy in the locker room who's the announcer was like, "Hey, who wants to be announced as Space Jesus tonight?" And we all like laughed about it. And I went up to him and I was like, "Yeah, do me. Like, just announce me as Space Jesus tonight." Because it was like a smaller promotion. And I was like, "It'll be funny. I can laugh."
Yeah.
And I like called my match, went out and completely forgot. And he goes, "Space Jesus, Billie Starkz." And I just start laughing. And I think the crowd caught on and they were like, "Yeah, okay, Space Jesus." And I just kept it since then because it was funny. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool. And I can do something with it."
That's awesome. It's awesome how those serendipitous things can really become really part of your persona and like what people love about you. Like another example I can think of, you talk about a guy like Chris Jericho who can say something once on a show and people latch onto it and it becomes a whole thing with shirts and posters and like everything. So like the Space Jesus thing really works for you, I think. Um, so so yeah, Space Jesus, and another name that you've gone by in the past, not so much recently, is something that I always loved, something I thought was cute and funny, Pizza Cat Jr.
Yes, Pizza Cat
So
Jr.
so where did Pizza Cat Jr. come from?
So Pizza Cat Jr. Came from Shotzi Blackheart. She was Pizza Cat. And at a promotion, I was always helping out, and like I stayed late one show and I was picking up trash and just being a good green kid.
Right.
And Shotzi looked at the promoter and was like, "All these other kids aren't helping. She's not booked. We should book her." And at this place, it was a lucha Bizarro, so they were doing like a bunch of lucha, and
Yeah.
a lot of people were doing different gimmicks. And she was like, "Let her be Pizza Cat Jr." So I became Pizza Cat Jr. And I think it's very fun for me still like I don't get to do it very often, but since like I've built up Billie Starkz to be this character, I
Right.
can have fun with this completely different one and try a style of wrestling that I don't do much as Billie Starkz, which is the lucha style, and I've been like taught some, and I would love to learn more. And it gives me like a little break from being one character, and I can have more fun and build up this other one.
That's awesome. Uh, if you wanted to bring that back, maybe a place to do that, you could try to get that on Gringo Loco's The World on Lucha that's happened during the collective.
Maybe.
Try that. The collective, by the way, something I'm looking forward to. I'm sure you're going to be there in some capacity, right?
Oh, most definitely.
That's
I'm
awesome.
definitely going to be there.
That's awesome. That's probably something that will be me and Tim will be sponsoring. We like to do that when we can. Um, so another thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was the Big Starkz brand. I notice when I watch, like, mostly what I watch weekly now is AEW. To be perfectly honest, you see the BSB logo, which is an awesome logo. I love it. You see it on Lee Moriarty, Dante Martin. So Tankman, yeah, Tankman and GCW. So what exactly is the Big Starkz brand? When did that start? And what is the goal for the Big Starkz brand?
So it kind of just started the same way with all of these other things that I've ever gone by. Just as a joke, I was struggling during the quarantine. I missed wrestling so much, and my dad wanted to cheer me up, who is Mouse. And he made a tweet saying he was the LeVar Ball of wrestling. And if you don't know who that is,
Yeah.
he is a basketball dad. He runs the Big Baller brand,
Mm-hmm.
and he has all these sons that play basketball, and he's very supportive but also very crazy. And he referred to me as the mellow of the big and I got called the mellow, and he was like, if anybody messes with mellow, blah blah blah. He was just being a goof. And people like latched onto that and were like, oh, this is funny. And someone in the comments created the Big Starkz brand logo, and we were like, oh, this is great, let's print t-shirts, let's do this.
Right.
And at first we were like, oh, it'll just be like us and some of our like close friends. And then it grew and grew and grew to like where it was like, oh, we have such a huge wrestling family. And now it's like on AEW, it's on MLW. And it's just grown and grown and grown to the point where I'm like, I don't even know who's all in it, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, well, I know going off of the website that's on the Twitter account, we have you, obviously, Calvin Tankman, Top Flight, both Top Flight guys. I think Cole
Mhm.
Radrick.
Yes.
There's a bunch of people. I had it written down somewhere, but it's not here now. So, oh, and Lee Moriarty, who's one of our own, which is awesome. I haven't seen it yet. So, okay. Uh, something that Tim actually wanted to ask that I didn't get, that I hadn't thought about, is Baby Billy inspired by the Righteous Gemstones?
No.
No. Okay. So where did Baby Billy come from? Is that just like,
So like the baby drawl,
yeah,
it came from Sammy Callahan, because he's going by the draw,
yeah,
and he's like part of like my wrestling family. And we had the joke at the time because like in my area, if I was on the shows, there's more people showing up, and that was like our joke of like, oh, she's drawing the crowd. So since I was so young, they were like, oh, she's the baby draw.
that's really cool. So yeah, we were talking about the Big Starkz brand, talking about the nicknames. So yeah, um, something interesting is I know you, I believe, are in a relationship with Marcus Mathers. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of awesome wrestling relationships, you being one of them. What is that like being in a relationship in this insane world of pro wrestling?
I honestly don't see it as that, if I'm gonna be honest.
Right.
I just see it as our lives outside of wrestling. And it's always nice to have like that road trip partner, and when he is in the carloads, when we are going to wrestle and stuff like that, and when I always have like access to a training buddy,
Yeah.
so I don't have to look far for someone to go roll around with, and just I don't know. I never thought about it as like dating and wrestling. I was just like, oh, I have a boyfriend. This is nice.
Right. Yeah, no, it is. I guess like outside looking in, it's like, oh, all these wrestlers are with other wrestlers, and it's like, uh, you wonder if like that's stressful at all. But I'm sure,
I think
like,
it's easier for
yeah,
wrestlers to date other wrestlers because they understand like the crazy life we're living. It's because like I
yeah,
feel like it's really hard for people on the outside to understand, oh, I'm about to drive 12 hours to wrestle like 10 minutes and then I have
and
to
then come
drive
back.
home.
Yeah, like there's less explaining that needs done.
hmm
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, um, what time are we at here? I'm sorry. I'm like trying to. Okay,
Okay.
so like, yeah, starting to wind down here. Some basic podcast questions. Dream opponents. He talked about Millie McKenzie, Nick Gage. What are some other ones for you?
Ooh, other dream opponents. I would love to wrestle Matt DeMorris. And everybody thinks like I'm crazy for wanting this match, but I love backyard wrestling, and he was one of like the first backyard matches that I
Yeah,
loved. And then I saw him again wrestling for Shakara, and how he had like changed. And I think he still is a phenomenal wrestler, and I hold him at a very high height. And then I would also love to step in the ring with Thunder Rosa. I feel like she's a great representation of women's wrestling nowadays.
oh
And
totally.
she's doing something to help other women, like running Mission Pro in Texas, and just continuing to help others.
Awesome. Okay, so building off of that, favorite opponents you've had so far?
Ooh, Kylie Ray, Charlie Evans, and Gary J.
Awesome. Any promotions that you know you haven't worked for that you want to?
Uh, as you mentioned earlier, Beyond, like I would love to work for Beyond. I think they're doing a great thing up there. And with their open wrestling, I think it was a great idea. And I would also like to go to the West Coast more. I've been out there once, and I would love to wrestle for Defy or Prestige.
Yeah.
Um, and that's like what's on my hit list right now.
Hey, we've got a great place here called Enjoy Wrestling that would love to have you. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. um, let's see. So you talked about wanting to do death matches. Are there any other wild stipulation matches you haven't done that you want to do?
I have done a ladder match before, but I feel like I would love to do another one. Because I haven't got to jump off of like anything yet or be dangerous.
Right.
So I feel like a ladder match would be fun. But I would also like to let it have meaning behind it, or like let there be a build up to it. So I
Right.
wouldn't just want to do like a ladder match for the sake of having a ladder match.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Uh, all right. Well, yeah. Well, Billy, this has been, yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here. We'd love to have you on again in the future. Get some more stuff going. You've got a bright future ahead of you. I I'm so excited to see where you end up and who you face.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Thank you.